For the second year in a row, a CrossFitter has won Physical 100. And not only that, but we had a lot of CrossFitters featuring quite high up in this year, and 2 of the top 4 did CrossFit within their training. This is not a fluke. It kind of can't be now, it's happened twice. CrossFit is currently one of the best tests of fitness we have, and Physical 100 is a test of fitness. I know they set out to find the perfect physique, which is kind of different from the fittest person, but all of the tests are fitness based. CrossFitters do very well at these tests, alongside sports people that do military style training and other uniformed services. The reason for this is because CrossFit is one of those sports within the fitness industry that actually focuses on performance, and not, like most of the industry, aesthetics as the main goal. CrossFit incorporates endurance, strength, skill, strength, endurance, and we also do workouts in different time domains, which was a big feature in Physical 100 this year. The first test, as soon as I saw this, I knew the CrossFitters were going to do well, Amotti being one of those. They had to run on an assault runner for a series of several intervals, depending on how well they did in the last interval. CrossFitters use assault runners within our training. We're also used to these like time-based workouts, so Amotti probably in his head could come up with a pace that he needed to stick at in order to be able to finish the time domains at the fastest speed that he was capable of, but below the threshold of giving it all on the first round. Because as we know, within CrossFit, if you go out far too hot in the first round, your second and third round is going to really suffer. So he probably would have paced himself in order to get into those top percentages and then gone all out right at the end. CrossFitters are also super used to having quick rest breaks between workouts, and there wasn't much of a stop, but there was a little bit. And when your fitness is good enough and you're used to having rest breaks between 30 to 90 seconds in a format like interval training, that can be enough to feel a lot more fresh and go back into the workout quite hard. Amotti and a couple of the other CrossFitters finished quite high in that running workout. Now typically CrossFitters get a lot of hate for our pull-ups, but that is because most of the fitness industry likes to deny the fact that we do strict pull-ups at all, which is hilarious. Within CrossFit you have to do strict pull-ups before you can do kipping pull-ups. You're not allowed to progress unless you can do strict pull-ups. And in order to increase the capacity of kipping or butterfly pull-ups, we have to be able to do more strict pull-ups, so we train that. It's just that strict pull-ups don't often feature in our main workout because it's hard to do them fast. When you're doing something for time, you want to do it as fast and as efficiently as possible, so we resort to doing butterfly or kipping pull-ups. In this test, everybody was doing sort of strict pull-ups, but what you can see is a lot of people are using their legs a little bit, which is a rudimentary form of a kip, which I find quite funny considering CrossFitters get so much hate for kipping, yet clearly, given a task where you have to do as many pull-ups as possible, everybody starts kipping a little bit. Now, I'm sure Amotti could have gone in and done butterfly pull-ups, but obviously they're a sport-specific movement within CrossFit, and I think the producers of Physical 100 would have specified that it needs to be like a strict style pull-up. It couldn't be like a CrossFit variation. Either that, or they would have looked at it and been like, what is that? That's not a pull-up, because it is sport-specific to CrossFit. We don't think that it's the same thing as a strict pull-up. It's not. It's completely different. So although he could have gone in there and smashed out hundreds of butterfly pull-ups probably, he didn't. He did strict style pull-ups. He may have had a little kip with his legs, but definitely not more than anybody else. And again, absolutely smashed that workout. This is because CrossFit is performance-based and it focuses on building that strength and capacity. And doing like a max pull-up test is something that we do. He probably will have gone into that knowing roughly the amount that he was capable of doing. And then if we look at the workout with the rollers, and he went up against the fittest people there, the team of the Avengers as they called them. But I said as soon as that came on my TV, me and my partner both do CrossFit / functional hybrid style training, I knew that he was going to win it, because I was like, this is a 4-round workout. He's used to 4-round workouts. It'll have a little bit of rest in between. He'll know how fast he needs to go. Some of it is about execution, but also being a competitive CrossFitter, you'll know what to do there. You'll know how to plan for that. And like the guy that was the rower, he could have had more capacity and endurance, but actually it was quite a sprinty workout at the end of it. He said at one point, even after doing a couple of intervals, that he didn't even feel tired. And that's because CrossFitters are used to recovering between rounds. They don't go all out on the first round. They just do just enough. and then push to come out on top right at the end. But having that knowledge going into it, you can, as a CrossFitter, you can pretty much look at anything and figure out what style of workout it is, where your rest is going to be, and how you should pace yourself. The whole sport trains you for these kind of scenarios. And I've been on a TV show myself, and this is also a case in point on SAS Who Dares Wins, which is a UK TV show that puts you through SAS selection. And a lot of CrossFitters do very well on that show as well. And it's because we can look at the fitness-based workouts, look at the odd objects that we need to move and the time domain of what we need to do, and figure out how to pace for that, where to go hard, where to hold back, and the strategy. We're good at that, and also physically fit, because that's literally what we train for. And you can see how that transfers over to everything. And then of course, the workout that he was going to do really well at, the squats, when they got down to the final 4. I think this went up to like 250 kilos, where they were still doing a hell of a lot of reps, but obviously the way the thing is angled, that's not going to be 250 kilos literally on your back. Because of the lever and how far back the coal was, it's going to be slightly different than literally squatting 250 kilos for multiple reps. I think that would be pretty record breaking. And that also explains why some of the others that weren't that familiar with squatting could still squat that weight, but it makes good TV. Now, CrossFit has quite a big focus on strength. The main areas of CrossFit are strength, gymnastics, and then like cardio endurance capacity, or like monostructural as we call it. And to be a very good CrossFitter, you need to be able to lift heavy. I don't quite know what Amotti can lift, but in the CrossFit Open, his best finish was 515th in the world. So he has to be a pretty strong athlete to be able to do that. And of course, he didn't have a problem with the squats at all. You could see he was struggling. It was quite a lot of reps, but he was struggling a lot less than the other participants. And this is also because we do high volume squats, we do low volume squats, we do just strength based squats, we squat to a 1 rep max, we might do like a 10 rep max, and if your coach is really sadistic, like a 20 or 30 rep max. But also, we do a lot of squats within workouts. We've got movements like wall balls, goblet squats, squat cleans, front squats, back squats. There's a lot of squatting. So of course, I knew that he was gonna have no problem with this workout. And time again, we see when there is an individual workout that they have to do, Amotti and a couple of the other CrossFit people rise to the top. And then finally we had the beam push. And after the first round, it looked like Amotti wasn't gonna win it. And between these two, they both have very well-rounded backgrounds in fitness. The guy that was a firefighter, like, obviously you train for that, but also he was in season 1, so he would have known what was coming up to train for season 2. So his workout style would probably have been quite comparable to CrossFit, or a functional hybrid training style of training, unlike some of the other people within Physical 100. At the end of the day, it seemed like he needed 1 round to kind of figure it out, and then it came down to strategy, speed and strength. So he figured out his strategy and then basically got himself into a good position where he could just ram through as quickly as possible. But it definitely could have been a toss-up between the final 2. They were both clearly very, very fit. The only thing he didn't do well at, and he did get eliminated at one point during this show, and that was the wrestling. Now, CrossFitters do not have backgrounds in wrestling or know any of the techniques or any of that, and they had to basically get to the pole and like hold their chest to the symbol. It's understandable at that point that it kind of comes down to playing the game, and it's not necessarily about fitness. It can be about strength and technique and a lot of other stuff that you can get from a wrestling or an MMA background, and we saw that with the guy that won it. But then Amotti got re-picked because he knew of his fitness capacity, and obviously he selected the rest of the team because he knew that that team were the fittest people there and or the strongest. Had the competition been purely based on individual fitness, he probably would have done even better. But I love the fact that there's like wrestling elements where you can just completely trip up and like get your cart stuck on a track and then that counts you out. I like the variability there is within it. And so Amotti is also known as Kim Jae-hong, which I presume is his real name. And that brings up his athlete profile on CrossFit.com. And we can go back and have a look at his open scores. He definitely did have an injury a couple of years ago. I think I read that he had a car crash, and he hasn't actually done the open since 2021, where he had a pretty low finish that year. So maybe that was when he had the accident. But most years he had a top 20 finish within his country. In 2020, he came 6th, and in 2019, he came 7th. As I said, his best finish in the world was 515th and then 727th the following year. And the differencing in placing can be to do with CrossFit and their programming of the workouts. It's not something that you can specifically train the best for because they vary it every single year. And we've seen that again this year. As you can see, he's pretty high ranking in his CrossFit workouts, but he's certainly not games level. And that's one of the reasons I'd love to see this go like global, because we could see some of the elite CrossFitters from across the world take part and others from other sports that are kind of similar. Physical 100 as a TV show is amazing, but it also completely exposes the fitness industry and how we've all been brainwashed to think of fitness in a certain way. If you'd like to hear more about that, then watch this video next. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.